Hey guys, Zomfox here, and today I'm back from my 2-day hiatus, and we're going to be talking about some more players going from the USFL to the NFL. Now, just as a quick side note, this series will be coming to an end in the next couple days. I decided to end this from pretty much every single player who's signed up until the first actual preseason game, so not the Hall of Fame game, which means that KJ Costello will be our last guy to talk about, which, man, I'm shocked he got signed, but that will be the last one we do. I will still mention guys who, if you have some big names, like Darius Victor does end up signing somewhere, or a guy like that, and I will still be doing ones on milestones, but I have some other video ideas I wanted to put out and make, and I kind of need time to do that. So we are ending at the preseason until next year. But today, for the start of this ending of the journey, we have a really solid player in All-USFL guard Cameron Hunt. He was part of the Birmingham Stallions, who naturally won the title. He was a very solid lineman, and he is heading to the Chargers. Ezra Simon USFL, he was the third pick in the 22nd round. He was picked as a guard, though he technically is also a center hybrid, which naturally, as I talked about in my Garrett McGinn video, it's a pretty big deal if you can be a center and guard. As center, you have to have an extra job at actually, snapping the ball. So it's very impressive that he's able to do both, but he was an All-USFL guard. The team he's going to, the Los Angeles Chargers, they don't have a single fourth string on literally any of their guard or center positions. So already very good shot for him to make the roster. But as for their starters, going from left guard to center to right guard, they have Matt Feeler, and then they have Corey Linsley, and then Zion Johnson. Second string, you have Jamari Sawler, and then you have the legend himself, Will Clapp, then Brendan James. Then third string, you have himself as a third string left guard currently. Then you have Isaac Weaver and Ryan Hunter. As for how they are in their history and stuff like that, Isaac Weaver is an undrafted free agent. He's the only undrafted free agent rookie offensive lineman on the roster currently. And then Ryan Hunter, he's been in the league a couple of years, but he's really only played 3 games, and he played 14 offensive snaps back in 2019 with the Chiefs, though he does have a ring, so congrats to him. Then Jamari Sawler, he is a 6th-round pick in this year's draft, pick before 200, so he's a very late pick, so it's not like they'd be that upset if, he gets above him, if Hunt gets above him. But then you have the legend Will Clapp. He was a 7th-round pick by New Orleans back in 2018, and he's actually been a very consistent-ish player for a while. Not fully, but during 2019, he actually did play 300 snaps. He played 34% of all total snaps he could have, and he played in 56% of total snaps he could have in his rookie year, though he only did play in 3 games. But then in terms of 2020 and 21, he played significantly less snaps, as he never reached a 30% snaps played again. But he does have actual experience playing in the trenches, so that will help him in his, bid to try and become the backup fully. And I do think he'll end up being the backup center. As for Brendan James, he was a 5th-round pick last year by the Chargers. He played in 11 games, but he actually only did offensive snaps 5 times for literally 1% of all total snaps he could have. So as for his rookie year, not a good rookie year, especially when compared to guys on his roster who did significantly more his rookie year. But as for the starters, as for Matt Feeler, he's been with Pittsburgh mainly his whole career. He was an undrafted free agent back in 2016, but he became a legit player-ish in 2017, then a legit starter in 2018. Since 2018, he did play 1 game as a non-starter, but aside from that 1 game, he's been a consistent starter as long as he's healthy, and he's been in a very huge amount of snaps. He was in 89% of total snaps in 2018, then 100% that he could have been in 2019, playing in every single offensive snap. Then in 2021, he didn't play every game, but he played almost every game, and he was in 100% of snaps. And in 2020, he played 94% of snaps in the 13 games he was in. Very consistent, solid lineman. He's not one of those, top tier elite guys, not a Bakhtiari, not a Quentin Nelson, but he's an insanely solid lineman to have on your roster. Then as for their center, Corey Linsley, this is one of those centers who people who I guess you could call casuals actually might know. That's because he's been with Green Bay his almost entire career, and despite being a 5th-round pick, he, from pretty much day 1, was a legit starter and has been very solid. But I will say, he wasn't as good in most of his career until the last 2 years. Why? Well, starting in 2020, he just became literally one of the best centers in the league fully, as, other guys retired, came out of the league, and he just continued to get better. Despite the fact that he's been insanely great his whole career and reliable, the last 2 years he's been an All-Pro. He was actually first-team All-Pro in 2020, his last year at Green Bay. Then, in his first year with LA last year, he was a Pro Bowler for the first time and a second-team All-Pro. He's a very, very solid center. He's played at least 13 games in every single season of his career except 2016. And for a guy that's played, like 7 years, that's pretty incredible. Especially, so, very solid player, great lineman. Yeah, no way Cam Hunt's getting above him. And then Zion Johnson, he was the 17th overall pick in this year's draft. He wasn't one of the big three offensive linemen, as this year had, like the big three offensive linemen, Charles Cross, those kind of guys. But he still was a first-round pick lineman, and he's a very solid player. So, as for Cam Hunt, I think that he really, realistically, I think it's almost a guarantee he makes the roster. As long as he doesn't, go in a preseason game and let up 6 sacks, he should make the roster solely because of just how little depth you have in offensive line. The bottom line is, and I will say this, the offensive line, even though it's technically cheating, as a group, it is the most important part of an entire team. A quarterback is nothing without a good offensive line, but a good offensive line can, kind of mask a bad quarterback. So to have a great offensive line, you also need depth, which is why it's so hard to build a truly elite unit. But with only, 9 guys across these 3 positions, it's basically a guarantee that Hunt just literally needs to beat out 2 of these guys, and that might be generous. He really only needs to beat out 1 of these guys and hope the Chargers don't sign anyone. He makes the roster. But realistically, I could see him becoming a backup on this team. I don't really believe he could get above Clapp just because of the NFL experience he does have, but I think he could, and I think he definitely could go ahead of Jamari and Brendan James, but we'll see. This has been ZombFox. If you enjoy this content, want me to notify as soon as I upload any videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell, and as always, have a great night.